Hey there, friends. Shawn here, and this is a best of episode of the Unstuck Entrepreneur podcast, where I'm taking the most popular, most talked about, most important episodes of the past and bringing them back for an encore presentation. So enjoy the replay of this episode, and I'll be back in a few weeks with another new episode and fresh topic. I'm Shawn Mynar, and this is Unstuck, a space for heart-centered entrepreneurs to implement both the inner work and outer strategies required to get unstuck and build the impactful, profitable business of their dreams. No hustle, grind, or long hours required. Let's get into today's session. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Unstuck. So grateful to have you here checking out this episode. Hello to all the new listeners. If this is your first episode of Unstuck, special welcome and shout out to you. Happy to have you here. Today, we're going to do things a little differently. I don't even know if you'll really notice, to be honest, but let me tell you what's going on behind the scenes. So I did a presentation for the Nutritional Therapy Association about a month ago. And for those that don't know, the NTA is the program that I went through to become certified as nutritionist. Over 6 years ago now, I believe, is when I graduated. And they asked me recently to come back and do a little presentation for the recent graduates and those that were in they have kind of a business offshoot program for new practitioners to get their business up and running, and asked me to come and do a talk specifically about knowing your worth, uncovering your money blocks, and most importantly, charging appropriately. Of course, I was thrilled. I was excited. Yes, absolutely. I will be there. But as you all probably know by now, I also am adamant about all of us repurposing the content that we create. So that presentation, that talk I gave was for a very specific audience. And so I will now be using that content, which I spent, several hours at least creating, to now get it out into the masses with this podcast episode. So this is going to be me repurposing a presentation that I gave to the NTA and using it to now also be of service to you all here. So I have, instead of notes, normally I have a little Google document of notes for each episode just to make sure I don't forget anything. Instead of that, I have slides. So I'm going to be going through my slides. No, you cannot see them. I don't even know if there's anywhere that I could post them so that you could optionally see them. Probably not worth it. So you will not see the slides, but I will be going through them and giving you the little spiel that I created from each of these slides. And you'll still get, obviously, everything you need out of it without the slides. Before we get into it, I have a very, very important announcement. I am hosting a special live free workshop just for you all. And it is happening super, super soon, August 30th. It's a Monday. I'm hosting a free workshop to go over the 6 things that you need to do in your business to start making more money. And this is specifically for wellness entrepreneurs, how to actually make money in your wellness business. There are 6 things I can tell you right now. They are a combination of some mindset tools that you need in your business and to incorporate into your business, energetic tools to incorporate into your business, and real strategy, practical things that you need to be doing in your business, all centered around making the money that you want to make. Totally up to you how much that is. But if you want to actually make real money in your business, we have to talk. We got to talk. I've been there. I've been on both ends, and I have the lessons that I kind of learned the hard way. If I'm going to be honest, I have those lessons in one package for you, so you don't have to make those same mistakes. You don't have to have it take as long as it did for me to start making real money in your business. And I'm sharing that with you all for free in a I want to say it's going to be 1 hour, but let's be honest, it's probably not. It's probably going to be about 75 minutes. I will stay on and answer any and all questions that you have for as long as you want. So I will actually be live. We will actually be interacting. And it's a great way to just start getting some free help to get your business started and to get your business growing in the way that you want it to grow and build and expand. Let's do it together. August 30th, you have 2 opportunities. One at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. So do the math, Google it if you need to figure out what time that is in your time zone. And then 5 p.m. Mountain Time, same day, August 30th. So 10 a.m., 5 p.m., sign yourself up, get on the list, ShawnMynar.com/money workshop. Super easy. ShawnMynar.com/money-workshop. We'll have that linked in the show notes for easy access. But I'd say why the heck not? You know what? It's free. It's free coaching for your business, no matter what stage of business you're in. This is not just for people that already have an established business. This is for all of you, for everyone who has even the slightest dream of having a business. You need to know this stuff now, bottom line. So make sure you get registered. Even if for some reason you can't attend live or don't get to see the whole thing live, you will get a replay if you register. So make sure you're on the list and we can talk money. One of my favorite topics that no one wants to talk about, but you know what? We got to talk about it, which starts today. We are talking about charging appropriately. And in the context of that topic, what we're really talking about is you knowing and recognizing your worth and you getting out of your own way when it comes to making money, which means money blocks. We're having the money blocks talk. So this, again, is a presentation that I created for people that had no idea who I was. So it starts with an introduction. And even if you've been listening to the podcast from day one and you know my story and you've heard it 1,000 times, I'm sorry. Let's just do it one more time real quick. I'm just going to give you a brief intro for all the new listeners here. So I'm Shawn. I'm a functional nutritional therapy practitioner by trade, a certified success coach, a podcaster, blogger, and online business boss. I have 8.5 years of experience with my own thriving holistic health business. I'm passionate about helping women live their dreams and reach their fullest potential. Have been, always will be, have that passion in me. And I love chocolate, of course. Now, if you have known me for 5 days, then you know I love chocolate. It's just everything. I also love oat milk lattes, hiking, and lazy mornings. So my business started January 1st of 2013. When I started, it was a personal training business. I started taking one-on-one clients right away, driving to their homes. It was in-home personal training business, which I thought was pretty darn cool. Little did I know how much time, energy, and effort that would take from me, not to mention gas, something to consider. Anyways, I was working long hours. I was basically just on demand at the ready for my clients, unwilling or unable to say no for the sake of my own sanity because it meant money out the door, possibly. And I wasn't willing to do that. So long hours, 6 days a week. I had 1 day off every week, and that was it. And even in doing all of that, I was still not making ends meet and eventually accumulated debt, about $20,000 worth of debt on my business credit card, my shiny new business credit card. So that happened over the course of a couple years, about 2 years. And now fast forward to 2021, as of the time I'm recording this in August 2021. And now I have helped thousands through online group programs get healthy and happy. Thousands of people, which is something probably the thing I'm most proud of is the amount of lives I've been able to touch in a matter of years and how I've transitioned my business to be able to do that. I have over 5 million podcast downloads. I've been a podcaster since 2014, I want to say. It all blends together, but I've had 3 podcasts and have had a great time doing that. I right now work about part-time hours, and they're the hours that I want to work. So I have tons of flexibility and freedom in my schedule and with my time, which is something that has been and always will be the most important value to me, is to have that freedom and flexibility. And I also have financial freedom, which was also something that I never thought possible that I've now been able to achieve in my business. I believe that building a thriving, successful wellness business doesn't have to be hard. I believe it doesn't have to require struggle, stress, grinding, or long hours. I believe that everyone has a dream inside of them that they deserve to live out. And I believe that the work you do as a wellness practitioner is so incredibly valuable to this world, and you should be compensated appropriately for that. And this is where we kind of get into the why behind what I teach and why I teach it, because in the past 6 years since I graduated from the NTA, I've seen so many fellow nutritionists, nutritional therapy practitioners, not live out something that I know and they know is their passion, is something that they find their mission and purpose to be, simply because that business part scares them and it's overwhelming. And this is the reason why I am here teaching what I teach, doing what I do, and why I focus on the wellness entrepreneur in particular, because I've been in those shoes myself and I've gotten beyond it and created what I wanted to create, but also the amount of, my peers, my fellow NTPs and other health coaches and personal trainers and yoga instructors and energy healers that aren't doing it. They're not doing what they're so passionate about simply because the business side of things is hard and challenging and scary and doesn't come naturally, which is like many of us, that's not something that comes naturally because we're helpers. So we want to help people. That's our natural tendency. And it's not necessarily to grind and hustle and figure out this whole business side of things. So that's why I'm sitting where I am today talking about what I talk about, because I believe that you have and deserve this dream of yours to play out. I believe you have a bigger purpose here. And I think that we're making it a little more challenging than it needs to be and a little more complicated than it needs to be. And we don't have to grind and hustle our way to the top. There is another approach, and I am living proof that it is possible. And I want you to discover that in your life as well. That was a little bit of a rant, but here I am doing it. So let's just continue. Success in your business is a combination of 3 ingredients, and this is what I teach and why I teach it. First, mindset. Because for every external result you're looking to have, there is inner work required. We cannot chase the external drivers only without going inward first and in addition to. So like along with. So while we're reaching for this certain number or there's certain number of followers or downloads or money made or whatever you want, what inner work is required along the way, first and also. I also teach energy, because how you show up in your business determines what you will attract. I'm a believer in energetic attraction points, in a vibrational energy, and in the universal laws that state like attracts like when it comes to energy. And it happens in all areas of our life, and your business is no exception. So how you show up in your business from an energetic, emotional perspective determines what will happen in your business. And then lastly, the third ingredient for success is the strategy. Because sometimes the how, like how to do this thing in my business, isn't always clear. No matter how much mindset work you do, no matter how much energy work you do, it still is like, yeah, but I just need to know like how to start a podcast or how to build a program that people will buy. So I also love teaching the strategy behind all this stuff, but from a different place, because when you do that mindset work and you keep that a focus and you do that energy work and you keep that a focus in your business, and then you you infuse that into the strategy and the practical things you're doing on a day-to-day basis in your business, it's a whole lot different. It feels different. It looks different. It attracts the right people, and it works. So getting into the actual topic, we're talking about charging appropriately. And the real question to ask yourself and feel for that first initial gut answer is, are you charging enough for your services? What's that gut response? Is it like, yes, I feel confident and secure in the amount I'm making, in the amount I'm charging, how much my one-on-one sessions are, how much my group package is, how much my online course is, how much I'm charging for this ebook, whatever you have that is for sale, for purchase, are you charging enough for your services? And if you're not at the point yet where you have anything that's for sale, this is something that you are going to come back to before you put anything out into the world that has a price point. Ask yourself the question and feel for the answer. Don't think through the answer, because you're going to have tons of back and forth. You're going to have lots of arguments back and forth, or why it should be this way, or why you're not worth charging this much. We've got to feel for the answer. And if you're not, then we got to do something about it. We have to make sure that you are getting paid what you are worth. Here's what not to do to determine the pricing of your services. And I just want to reiterate, I think a lot of what I'm saying will apply to product-based businesses or other type of businesses, but this is specifically for service-based businesses. So service-based business, you are not charging by the hour. So you're not thinking, okay, well, in my other job before I quit and started going after my dreams and doing what I actually love and helping people, I was making this much money. That breaks down to being this much per hour. So I'm going to charge like $5 more than that. So I'm making a little bit more than I was at my other job. That's not how we go about figuring this out, how to determine your prices. You are not charging for your time only. You are charging for so much more than that. We're going to go over everything else that you need to factor in to determine how much you are charging for an hour with you. And it's not just time-based. You also are not going to look at what other people are charging. Now, I want to say that I think there's something to be said for doing a little bit of research, seeing kind of what the market is, what's out there, and then using some of that information along with all of this other information to decide what's best for you and your business and your clients. But doing this research and then thinking, well, this person charges this much and they have the same credentials and they're in the same market, so I'm going to charge that much too. That's not how this works. We are all incredibly unique in so many different areas, all different areas of what we offer to our clients. So that isn't right. And, thinking, well, online courses are about this much. It seems like most courses are like $297. So I'm just going to charge $297. That has taken into account nothing of what you actually need to be thinking about in terms of pricing. And then the last thing you're not going to do to determine your prices is to try to figure out what your clients can, quote unquote, afford. This is what I see happen most often, is you try to analyze who is going to be buying your program or becoming a one-on-one client or buying your ebook, whatever it is, and then you try to figure out what they can afford, which is completely pointless, because what people can afford is relative. So really, we can just, when it comes to pricing, really like everything, let's just get that word out of our vocabulary. Let me give you an example of how afford is relative. So say, for example, I tell you that you have to spend $1,000. And you're like, well, actually, no, I'm not doing that. Like, that's a lot of money. What am I even buying with this $1,000? And I say, an apple. Well, you're like, absolutely not. That's ridiculous. I can't afford that. That's not fair. I can go get an apple for $1 at the store. No way. Or if I say a new Ferrari, well, then like, that's a steal. Absolutely. Here's my $1,000. Give me the Ferrari. So there, as you can see, it's based on the person, of course, for sure, their circumstances, their situation, the whole thing, basically, and also what they're getting in return. And that's what we have to focus on, is what they're getting in return and making that so valuable that the price point is a no-brainer, no matter what that price point is, and it's all relative. So trying to figure out what your clients can afford is basically a huge waste of time. And I would highly recommend you just wipe that whole thought process out, because really what you're doing in that process is kind of imposing your money blocks onto someone else. And that's not for you to decide or determine. So when we have money blocks ourselves, we then assume the same thing of the people that we're trying to help, of our clients or the people we're selling to, and it's a whole big disaster. So we're going to really try to take that out of our business entirely, correct? Yes. All right. The 3 main culprits to not charging enough. They're the big 3. I'm sure there are lots of others. We're going over the big 3 right now. Number 1, not recognizing your worth and acknowledging your value. So that is a mindset and energy thing. The second thing, having money blocks and a scarcity mindset. You will never, ever make the money you want to make, charge what you should be charging if you have money blocks. And it is something that is a continuous work in progress. I still find new money blocks almost every day. And I've been doing this work consistently for, 4 years now. And I got rid of a lot of them. And as you get rid, it's like there's more and more layers to the onion that you need to peel back. And that's what you continue to do probably for most of your life, because you're always going to be presented with new opportunities for that growth and for those blocks to come to the surface so they can be released. And that's what it is. It's just a process. And then the third thing is not knowing strategy and best practices for charging appropriately. So as you can see, we've got some mindset stuff, we got some energy stuff, and we have the strategy behind it too. We're going to go over all of them now. First thing, knowing your worth and value is an inside job. We've got to start doing the inner work required for a successful business. There is nothing I want more than to take you by the shoulders, look you in the eye, give you a big hug, smile, and tell you how worthy, deserving, and incredible you are. How you are doing great things, how many lives you are changing, and how priceless that is. But you have to believe it for yourself for any of that to matter. Your partner, your friends, your parents, your kids can tell you how worthy and deserving you are of all the good things, of all the money that you want to make, and how valuable what you're doing really is to this world. But you have to believe it, or else it doesn't matter. So those words just kind of bounce off of you because your subconscious mind does not take them to be truth. It doesn't line up. It doesn't match up with what you believe and with what you tell yourself. And so it just goes unnoticed from the mind's perspective. Now you may be like, oh yeah, thanks. That's great. Wow, how amazing. Compliments. But your mind doesn't take it in, doesn't absorb it. How do you know if you are having trouble acknowledging your worth and value? Do you ever say things to yourself? So think things, basically. I am not an expert. I can't charge that much. I'm not smart, skilled, tech savvy, professional, experienced, you name it, enough for people to pay that. So insert anything there. I'm not smart enough for people to pay that. I'm not professional enough for people to pay that. I'm not experienced enough for people to pay that. If I price my services too high, no one will buy from me. I don't need to make a lot of money. I just want to help people. I don't deserve and or am not capable of having a 6 or 7-figure business. Do any of these things go through your mind when you start thinking about what to charge, when you start putting a number on the paper that looks a little scary or could potentially be too much, quote unquote, in your mind? Do these things come up? If so, or anything like this, there is some awareness to build. There's some mindset work to do to get you to a place where you are confident in your abilities, where you understand how valuable the work that you're doing is, and when you feel comfortable enough getting paid what you're worth. This all, as you can see, as I'm sure many of you know if you've been listening to Unstuck at all, we always talk about the ego here. This all comes from your ego. Your ego is that mental chatter that speaks directly to your limiting beliefs, directly to the identity you've created for yourself that lives in your subconscious programming now. Your ego is there to keep you in your comfort zone where you can't get rejected because you charge too much, where you can't fail because no one will buy from you because you charge too much. It's there as a protection mechanism, which is great. It has a job and it's doing its job. And sometimes it's really helpful for it to do its job. In this case, though, what it's doing, and really in all of business, when you have the ego chatter that is speaking to this identity that you've created to where you aren't good at business, you aren't valuable enough, you don't know enough, you might mess up, you might fail, and then what? When we have all these stories, which is very common and almost expected really in the business world as an entrepreneur, it happens to everyone, but it affects your confidence and how you show up in your business, and people will pick up on that energy. So we start talking about mindset, but then really see how it expands into the energetic expression that we have for our business and who we will attract or not attract based on those thoughts that we have going on. So we really need to do this ego work to get where we want to go, just even from, yes, a mindset perspective, but also from the practical standpoint of business and just taking the right actions and doing the right things strategically in your business. It really does come back to what's going on in your mind. So the first tool that I have for you that really helps with this kind of thing, and some of you may have done this before if you've been in Unstuck Entrepreneur or even some of my other programs in the past, we always start with an ego dump. This is where we actually journal, but from the place of our ego that has these stories and fears and excuses and beliefs that it just keeps telling us that's really keeping us stuck. We get those out onto paper. Because when you do, it gives it a little less power and control. It's like you can finally see what you've been going on and on and on about in your head. You can read it and see that it's not true or not something you wish to believe anymore, not something that you want to have your identity wrapped around in anymore. And it's like we break the spell a little bit when we put it onto paper. So it's one of the first things that I recommend anybody do. So just some ideas to help you get started on how you can do this ego dump. Of course, get a journal, a piece of paper, whatever you have. Pen and paper always works best. So I highly encourage that. Ask yourself these questions and see what comes up from this like scared ego voice. Why can't I charge? And then pick a number that sounds scary. Like, why can't I charge $200 an hour? And then list all the reasons why you can't. What might happen if I do charge $1,000 for this course? Pick something that feels a little like you're pushing it. You would be pushing the price because we want to get those fears out. We want to get those stories out. So push yourself with this, whatever you choose. It doesn't have to be $1,000 or $200. Pick your number. The next one, why can't I have a business that makes, and then pick a number that feels like a really awesome amount of money you would love to make. Why can't I have a business that makes $100,000 a year? Why can't I have $1 million business? What does your ego say? And what might happen if I do make $100,000 this year? How might you be perceived? What might happen? So these are the starting points to get your ego dump going, and then just write all the reasons why you are uncomfortable around money, uncomfortable asking for money, charging a higher number for your sessions and your coaching packages and your programs and your courses and your ebooks and all that stuff. And then the next thing to do is to call yourself out. So this is where we take everything we just wrote from the ego's perspective and find the cracks in your story. So the first thing to ask yourself, you can do it for basically the whole page if you want to, or for each kind of belief that comes up. Is this true? How has this belief been holding me back? What would happen if I didn't have this belief? And how can I prove this belief wrong? So as you can see, if you want to do it for the whole page, that absolutely works. And you can kind of go more so for the general mindset that you have around charging appropriately and making what you're worth. But you can also kind of pick out some of the beliefs that you see coming up, some of the stories that seem really clear and obvious. There's a story there. There's something going on there. Pick those out and answer for each one of these. And that's a very powerful practice too. So let me give you an example. Let me say that my belief is that if I price my services or my programs or my courses too high, no one will buy from me. Like, I will hear crickets. Everyone will be like, nope, you're too expensive. I'm out. Is this true? Well, I mean, it seems like it would be potentially true, but I don't know actually for sure. I have no evidence to show that no one buys something that is something that's priced this price point. Actually, there are several things out there that are this price point that people do buy. So that actually proves that it's not true. Okay, that's the first one. How has this belief been holding me back? Well, I've been keeping my prices lower than I want them to be for fear that no one will buy if I raise them. So I haven't raised my prices, or I'm afraid to raise my prices, or I'm starting out really low, lower than I want. What would happen if I didn't have this belief? Well, I would just immediately add an extra $50 to my one-on-one sessions, or I would charge more for this course that I'm putting tons of work into, or the coaching program that I do. I would charge more for it. And then how can I prove this belief wrong? Well, you change the price and then you watch people buy it. You see that people don't immediately say no, and you aren't hearing crickets just because you raised the price. And now that belief has been proved wrong, which means it is officially weakened in your mind. So you've started the reprogramming process of these beliefs that you're having just from this exercise. But then you actually have to do it. You actually do have to increase your price and prove yourself wrong. Okay? So let's move on to the second culprit for not charging enough, which is having money blocks and a scarcity mindset. Oh yeah, we get to talk money mindset, one of my favorite topics of all time. Your money blocks might sound something like, and I know you guys are familiar if you've been listening to the Unstuck podcast for a while, we talk about money mindset several times before, but let's just go over some of these stories again. I have to work hard to make money. My financial gain is someone else's loss. I'll be happy. I'll feel more secure. I'll take more risks. I'll have more investments in my business once I make more money. Life becomes easier with more money. Success is measured by the amount of money I make. Wanting to make lots of money is selfish and greedy. I'll turn into a bad person if I have a bunch of money. I'm not materialistic. I don't need extra cash. Hey, welcome to your money stuff. If any of that remotely rang true, or if you have any other kind of ickiness around money and around charging and around asking for money and selling and all that stuff, this goes into the bucket of money blocks and a scarcity mindset. And this is something that we spend time on in Unstuck Entrepreneur, because you can do everything else right in your business. You can have the most amazing sales page and sales funnel and all this stuff going on and still not make any money because you still have money blocks. So we have to do this work. If you are going to have your own business, you've got to do this work or else you're going to remain stuck. You had stories about money before you even had any money of your own, likely before you even really knew what money was, before you held your first dollar bill. You were being infused with money blocks, money stuff, money stories because of your parents, your siblings, your aunts and uncles, your family friends, anybody that you were around during this very transformational stage where we are developing our subconscious mind, which is before the age of 7. You created stories and beliefs and blocks about money. And then that money story will become your reality and will continue playing out in your life until you change the story. So we likely have a story that maybe you don't even really know. You've never done this kind of work before. So it's going on in the background based on what you were taught, what you saw, what you heard as a child before you even had any money of your own. And now you're taking that into your adult life with the money that you do now have or don't have, the money you make or aren't making. And until you change that money story, that's going to continue to be what plays out for you. So you have to change the story. You have the very real ability to change your mind, to reprogram that subconscious mind to have and store a different programming that then is what plays out in your life. And this is what we do as part of Unstuck Entrepreneur, is to really focus on changing that story over and over and over again and having it be this continuous process in your business journey and really your whole life. So how do we change our story? Here's this stuff, I could just obviously talk about this for all podcast episodes forever. So this is a very brief discussion on this and a very simplified tool to start working on. You are going to write your new money story and answer these questions for me, again, with that journal that we know and love. What is your ideal money situation? How much do you want to earn? How much do you want to have saved? What do you want your bank accounts to look like when you log into your account? If you had all the money you could ever dream of in your bank account right now, what about you would change? How would you think, speak, act, hold yourself? How would you feel in that life? Write out a day in the life of your new money reality as if it were already happening. So I want you to go through your day with all of the money you could ever want. That bank account looks exactly how you want it to look. You have the amount of money saved that you want to have saved. What does your day look like? Write out the whole day. What do you do? So besides the fact that it's kind of fun to do this, there also is a scientific reason to do this as well. And that is because your subconscious mind does not know the difference between real and imagined. And this is why visualization is so powerful, why I talk about it all the time. It's one of my favorite tools. Because the longer and more frequently you spend your time envisioning the life, business, money situation, bank account that you desire, the quicker and stronger you will be at reprogramming your subconscious. And then you will start to act accordingly because that is now what your subconscious mind takes to be true. So just as when we were young and we developed our subconscious mind and the programming that was stored in it, we can do that again now, even though we're older than 7, by way of what we're thinking and how we're acting and how we're feeling and behaving. And to do that, it really starts from this place where we have that vision. So you start by envisioning it. You start by getting into dreamland and really thinking about what you want and how it would feel and how it would look and what you would do. And then moving from that place. And the more times you can get into this place where we're visualizing it and really seeing that picture, then the more your subconscious mind is exposed to that, not knowing that it's not actually happening already, but it's just going on in your mind. You're imagining it. And we start to change. We start to shift and we start to act according to that person that has this big bank account that's completely financially secure. And that is when we make some really awesome moves in our life and our business. Last thing we're going to talk about today is the third culprit to not charging enough, which is not knowing the strategy and best practices for charging enough. So here is my strategy that I recommend for all my clients to setting your prices. The first thing is to get clear on your income goals. Your income goals. How much do you want to make? And also considering things like expenses you will incur in your business, tax rates that you have, federal and state taxes to consider. Think about all of that and use that as a guiding system to figure out not only how much you want to charge for your services, but also what services you want to offer. Because with one-on-ones, we've talked about this before, if you're only charging or if you're only doing one-on-one sessions, then you have a capped income because you only have so much time to do those one-on-one sessions. So do you want to add in something else that would make for a better financial situation where you have an uncapped income potential? These are all things to consider, but you've got to start with what you want to make. And it is okay if you want to make a lot of money, if you want to be financially secure and have financial freedom, if you want to have financial freedom. Money is not bad. Money is not evil. You're not going to become a selfish, greedy, terrible person when you have a lot of money. You are naturally a good person. You are going to continue to be a good person no matter what your bank account is. And in fact, having more money in your bank account often allows people to become even better because you have more resources to share that goodness with others. So please don't feel like you have to cap your income because otherwise you'll be a bad person. So how much money do you want to make? Knowing that you can make any amount you want to make once you figure it out, once you get past all that stuff we talked about earlier and start really doing the work here. So quick rule of thumb that I have is to plan on about half of your revenue going into your actual bank account. And this is not something a lot of people consider at the beginning and when they're setting their prices, is that, you know what, as an entrepreneur, you're pay a lot of taxes in a lot of states. So you've got to account for the taxes. Yes, you will have expenses. It's up to you what is or is not something that you want to have as a business expense. So be aware of that. And for me, I think it's just easiest to think 50% is going to expenses and investment into my business, and then 50% is going to be my actual income that I will have to spend personally. And that really has always helped me determine my prices fairly. And then the next thing is determine everything that's required from you for that session. Let's say that it's a one-on-one client session, but same things apply if it's a group coaching program where you are spending a lot of time live, or an online course that you worked really hard for months and months behind the scenes creating this course. It's just all things to consider no matter what your paid offer is. What are they paying for? So this is the next question to ask. What are they paying for? So yes, they're paying for your time, not just the time that you spend with them, but the time it takes to research, the time it takes to communicate in other ways. For instance, if you do have one-on-one clients, are they allowed to email you? If so, that's going to be time that you're spending communicating with them in between sessions, writing up recommendations and doing research on those recommendations, writing up protocols, that kind of stuff. So the time you're spending putting your energy towards that person or that group, those people, think about that. Also, like I said, time spent creating the program, creating the course, writing the book, putting together all the stuff. Consider that. The knowledge. So the knowledge that you have, the experience that you have, the expertise that you have, the education you have. And it's not just like, well, I went and got my certification in this thing. Also think about your own personal experiences and expertise, the things that you've done on your own, the research that you did when you were going through something similar, or when someone you knew, your friend or your partner or someone was having issues and you started doing research for them. That all is included in your knowledge, your experience, your expertise, and your education. I think so many of us these days are finding that some of our greatest lessons and teachers are what we go through ourselves. And that's then why we come into this space wanting to be of service to others who have experienced something similar or are going through it, or someone they know is going through it. We have to consider what we've done, not just in our schooling and in our certifications and our degrees and all that stuff, but on the outside too, the extra stuff. Keep that in mind. So what are they paying for? And then the last thing, most importantly, understand the value of your service to that person. How life-changing is it? How life-changing is it? So how big of a problem is it for them in their lives right now? How much has it impacted their lives? How much are they not living how they want to live because of what they're currently going through that you can provide the solution for? How uncomfortable are the symptoms or the problems that they're currently experiencing? How much have they tried on their own to help their situation DIY style? How long have they been seeking help? Maybe they've been to other doctors or other practitioners and they're still not getting anywhere. They're looking, and if this was me, Googling every day, constantly trying to find a different answer. How long have they spent doing that? Because, of course, in all of these cases, the bigger the problem, the more it's impacted them, the more uncomfortable they are right now, the longer they've spent trying to do this on their own, and the longer they've spent seeking help and not getting any answers, obviously, the more valuable and life-changing it will be for them to work with you and to be guided to a solution, to have someone that can help. So that is what we really need to focus on when we're deciding how to charge. So these three things: how much do you want to make? What are they paying for? And how life-changing is it? So answering those questions in your journal will help kind of start getting your gears turning for the strategy aspect of charging appropriately and figuring out your pricing. Those are the things that we need to consider. As you can see, it's a lot. It's not just a matter, like I said at the beginning, it's not just a matter of like, what is everyone else charging? Okay, fine, that's what I'll charge too. Or this is how much I want to make an hour because this is what I'm used to. I'll just charge that. No. There is so much more to it. And I hope you guys can see that now. And will take the time and do your due diligence to go through all of this, not just the strategy aspect, because like I said, and like I will continue to say a bazillion times as we progress in this podcast, you cannot just go to the strategy, the practical tips of building a business and expect to create success. You have to do the mindset work. You have to do the energy work that is also required and do it along the way while also figuring out the practical strategy. Alrighty, so let's just wrap this up really quick because I know I went through a lot in a short period of time. This topic, let me reiterate, is so massive, so massive. And I think you all know that. I think there's so much more to talk about here when it comes to charging appropriately, honoring your worth, and gosh, everything, all of it. There's so much more. This is very much kind of the first step. And then you can the snowball effect starts happening once you start here. So let's go over the 3 culprits to not charging enough, the stuff we went over. Not recognizing your worth and acknowledging your value. So the first thing to do is that ego dump and then call yourself out, find the cracks in your story. The second thing, having money blocks and a scarcity mindset. So it really starts with awareness and understanding that you do have some money blocks and money stories and things going on related to money. And then the thing that we talked about today, the tool to start changing that, is to create your new money story and get to that place where you're really in it and feeling it and getting excited about it and getting the visualization going and moving from that space. And then the third thing is not knowing the strategy and best practices, which we just talked about, and those questions that you need to ask yourself, which are, how much do you want to make? What are they paying for? And how life-changing is it? Those are the 3 big questions to answer for yourself to really get a base of how you should be charging for any and all of your paid offers as a service-based business owner. And of course, this was directed towards wellness practitioners, but it's not just for wellness practitioners. As you can see, there's just so much value in doing all of this work for everyone who wants to have their own business or already has their own business. We've got to start here, my friends, and that is why we talk about it on the Unstuck podcast. And also it's why we actually do it together in Unstuck Entrepreneur. We got to go through this whole process in order to really, truly build the business of your dreams that doesn't feel scary and overwhelming. And we don't have to hustle and grind to get there. We start with this work. All right, that will do it for today. Thank you so much for being here. If you know someone who has a business of their own or wants to have a business of their own, many of us have our own little bubble of friends that kind of do something similar to what we do. If you know someone, send them this episode or any other episode of Unstuck that you think they would benefit from. It would mean so much to me. It means so much to this show when you all, as listeners, as people that get value from what we talk about here, share it with other people that you know would also get value from it. It's really just an act in paying it forward, passing goodness on, and I would love to connect with someone you know that could also use some guidance on their business journey. And lastly, just a reminder, you gotta sign up for the free business workshop live. It's live, people. You and me, we're just gonna be there chatting it up on August 30th, 10 a.m. Mountain Time or 5 p.m. Mountain Time that day, we will connect live. I have 6 tips for you on how to actually make money in your business. Important stuff. Things that I have learned over my 8.5 years now that I want to make sure you know right away so you don't have to waste years trying to figure it out like I did. So I will break them all down for you and be there to answer any and all questions you have, and we can just hang out. It's going to be great, but you've got to sign up in order to get the information. ShawnMynar.com/money workshop. It will be linked in the show notes, so you can head there and just put your little name in there, and I'll make sure to send you the link, and you'll be registered. And even if you can't attend live or have to leave early, you'll get the replay to watch when you can. And I can't wait to hang out with you all live. All right, that will do it for this episode. And until next time, take care. If you're like most of my clients, you followed your passion for health, got your certifications, did the trainings, and now you're excited to have your very own thriving, impactful wellness business. But how do you actually do that? It's a common position to be in, especially in the wellness space, because no one teaches you this whole business thing along the way. This trend is exactly why I'm here, a passionate nutritionist turned business coach for wellness professionals, because I'm done seeing wellness practitioners continue to play small in their business simply because they don't know the right steps to take. If you're like most wellness pros out there with a dream to start their own impactful, freedom-filled business, you've probably spent hours trying to build your website, figure out what the heck to post on social media, and taking all the courses to try to get confident in what you're doing. Or maybe just the thought of all that sends you into a puddle of stress and overwhelm. Good news, you don't need a perfect website, a killer Instagram strategy, or to be an expert to have an impactful and successful business. What you do need is a plan. The Wellness Business Blueprint is the jumpstart you need to plan, prepare, and execute on your passion for helping others without that sinking feeling of overwhelm. Because this isn't like the other stuffy, boring business plans out there. The Wellness Business Blueprint is centered around you. What feels good to you? What's right for your business, your dreams, and your lifestyle? What keeps you in alignment and your energy flowing? What allows you to stay sane and stress-free and excited in your business? Because building your dream wellness business starts with a plan that works for you. This free 15-page printable workbook will take you through my signature Flow and Grow business framework so you can create your own business vision while gaining clarity, structure, and a solid plan to move forward. Download it today and get started on your business blueprint. Head to ShawnMynar.com/WBB. That stands for Wellness Business Blueprint, and get started building your dream wellness business today. Again, that's ShawnMynar.com/WBB.